Well, I'm Brett Grobe. I'm from Elyria, Ohio, and I'm a sixth-generation fruit and vegetable grower. We primarily grow fruits for fresh market, wholesale and retail sales. We do have a commercial cider mill as well. It's been always set in stone. I was never really told to do it. I was never asked to do it. It's just something I've always been interested in. I think around my senior year of high school is when I really looked at other careers, and my friends were talking about different careers that they were going into, and I was always grew up being the farm kid, and I've always liked that, and I knew pursuing something in horticulture probably wouldn't benefit me nearly as well as a business course. I know that's the main driver that we need to improve on is efficiency and production of our business, and I wanted to pursue a business course. I then learned that Ohio State offered a food safety course, which I've grown up with the hurdles that food safety has caused for my farm and across the state of Ohio. So I figured that would be an incredible asset to me, and it has been. I've learned a lot. Northern Ohio, we're very close to Lake Erie. There's not a large fruit growing base near us, actually across the state. We do have some growers, but they're not nearly as big as your Washington, New York, Michigan, Pennsylvania. So we're definitely smaller production. There's a large concentration of growers along the lake shore, within 10-15 miles of Lake Erie. That's where I'm from. And that offers frost protection from frost and cold temperatures. And then there's also a large concentration of larger growers in the southern portions of the state. The majority of the fruit that we grow is solely for fresh market production. Most of it is sold commercially through our packing shed, which we grow under a cooperative with many growers in the state. We do sell a portion of that fruit through one of 3 markets, and that's pretty similar to a lot of growers in the state. A lot of them do a lot of retail of sales of their apples, and there's a few growers that do both retail and wholesale. Most of Ohio doesn't use a super spindle method. Across the state there's more of a tall spindle planting. We now use a 14-foot row and 3-foot tree spacing, 4-wire with a drop wire to connect the trees, and that's worked really well for us. I've seen that in many other regions of Ohio, and but I can't think of any truly like super spindle, ultra high density. It's just not efficient for us. Our region, the region that I grow in, is incredibly rocky, sandstone. There's large plates of sandstone on the ground, and it makes it difficult to trellis trees at times. We'll just have them explode when we push them in with an excavator. They just blow up like a toothpick. It's pretty scary. But that sandstone actually helps wick moisture up to the roots. And we actually, once we get a trellis in, they do quite well, and we maintain a really strong tree vigor, even in dry conditions. So the water really seems to absorb right through that sandstone and help the roots out. Cleveland, which I live close to, is actually well known for its wacky weather, and we have very cold winters, not as cold as New York or upstate Michigan, but we get quite a bit of snow. And we have to worry about that with tree production. I mean, if it's gonna hurt the trees, we've had issues with that. And peaches, any other stone fruits, are very hard to do on a commercial scale just because our winters are too harsh for them. We also get very hot summers and dry summers. It's been kind of weird the past couple years, but we'll get into the hundreds a couple days. 90s are very common, and we get really dry. So we've started to implement irrigation systems on our trees just to help out on the high density tall spindle plantings. It's just, we're worried about if we get into a severe drought, if that's going to hurt our overall production. And we could get a better, in Ohio as a whole, we could improve the technology used for traceability and bin tagging. My minor at Ohio State is food safety. So that's a pretty big issue that I'm concerned with, is implementing traceability on our fruit. And we're working on it, but I think newer technologies could really help us with that. And I like the opportunities that working for yourself can give you. And there's such a dynamic change in agriculture these days with technology, and fruit growing in general is completely different than it was 20 years ago. It's an exciting time to be in the industry, and I think that's what's inspired me the most.